Welcome to How Now, the podcast where we talk about how to live in the now. And here's your host, Kim Martin Raymond.
Peace and blessings, love and light, and welcome to this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. I am your host, Kim Martin Raymond. I'm a minister, spiritual life coach, author, and founder of Redefining You, LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves mind, body, and spirit. Welcome again to this edition. And if you are new to the How Now podcast, please make sure that you go to my website, www.hownowpodcast.com. Pick your favorite podcast platform and be sure to like, follow, and share so you know when the shows are airing each week. Also, you can click on the banner and it will take you to the YouTube channel for the How Now podcast, where you can check out my wellness journey. You can check out some of my shows in review and like, follow, and share there as well. Again, that's www.hownowpodcast.com. So let's get into today's show. We're going to be talking about business burnout and overwhelm. We've been hearing a lot about that as people are pivoting and changing careers. People are going into business for themselves. People are getting grants and stimulus money to be able to expand their businesses. And we're seeing a lot of overwhelm in this process and a lot of burnout as well. And so my guest is here to talk about that and to help us to kind of weed through, what's been going on, in her business personally and professionally. And we're going to, see how we can go about eliminating some of that anxiety and some of that burnout. Okay, and as is customary with the How Now podcast, I'm going to have my guest to introduce herself at this time.
Hello. My name is Leslie Cole. I am a mother of two beautiful adult children. I'm a creator. I am an aesthetics instructor, so I'm a teacher. I'm a writer, a blogger. I build websites, so I do website design for small businesses, for businesses that are small. And I am also a new podcaster myself. So yeah, thank you, Kim, and welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me be here on your platform.
Absolutely. It is a pleasure to have you and to, talk about this whole idea of, like I said, business burnout and overwhelm. We have a lot of roles that we play in our personal lives and in our professional lives. And, it can be a challenge sometimes when we're starting a business, when we're trying to figure out how to create what I call a harmony, because it's not really a balance. Sometimes it's not this or that. Sometimes it's this. It's that little flow. It's that wave, and we're trying to figure out, okay, how do I make it all happen without being overwhelmed? So let's back up first and talk about some of the things that were going on with you and your business prior to the pandemic. What were some of the things that you were doing then?
Some of the things that I was doing, which was creating a level of burnout for me, was living between two states. I was running my business from New Jersey, and my business was also being run from Georgia, because I was thinking about relocating to Georgia. So I was trying to marry the two before I make that leap. Right. So it was a lot of burnout a little bit, but it was really, really fun. And that segues me right into your statement about where this burnout started. Right. So before the pandemic, I was making moves to relocate, and I was doing that without a plan. I was just kind of doing it. I was just trying to feel my way through it. So it was fun in the moving back and forth, but the burnout came because so much uncertainty, not having a plan, not having really a clear vision as to where I was going. Because I realized that the vision that I had that got me where I wasn't the vision to carry me into the future, right? And then when the pandemic happened, I literally lost about $50,000 worth of income just from my corporate business accounts, all in 3 days. Like
Wow.
when they start talking about the pandemic and those first days about talking about shutting down or whatever, I started getting calls from corporate entities that, we're going to cancel the event that's coming up next month until we figure out what's going on.
Right.
And then the next day, I woke up in the morning and I got like a whole slew of emails from some corporate entities that we go into with my business. And I'm in the spa industry. So I go in and teach wellness, and we provide therapeutic services for our corporate clients. And Audible.com was one of my biggest ones in New Jersey.
Right.
And well, not necessarily biggest as far as the services we provided, but I was there with them
Right.
the longest.
Gotcha.
And I got the call, like, we are going to cancel. And I was already in Virginia scouting out some work there before I went to New Jersey because I was coming from Georgia. And girl, I was in Virginia and they called me and was like, Leslie, the event that we have coming up this week, we're going to cancel it because we hear, there's this going on with this new thing and we're not certain what's going on. So we're canceling. So then it canceled and that was it. And that was $50,000 worth of income just gone.
Wow.
Never to be seen again.
Wow. Wow.
Because even after the pandemic, there's still COVID, COVID is still alive and well. So everyone's social distancing and they're just not doing that because most people are still working from home. So they're not in the corporate locations. There's, not open. So yeah, that hasn't come back again.
Right. And I'm sure that, yeah, it's like you said, you had things solid, you had accounts
Yeah.
built,
I'm
you
doing
had
this for 8 years straight in a row, like strong. Yeah.
wow. And that's
Yeah.
what you said. So your business was established already. So
Well,
you
that was
business
that was
you won in New Jersey.
yes, absolutely. I've been in that business. I had been in that business at the time of the pandemic, 2020. That was 18 years.
Wow.
18 years.
Wow.
And the portion of the corporate business was only one part of my business. So there was the spa, then
Right.
there was the out-call services that we did where we went into homes for our local clients.
Mhm.
And then there was the on-site part of the business where we went into corporate entities and we provided therapeutic services there.
Wow.
So you talk about all phases of everything just kind of shut down and came
Wow.
to a halt.
Wow.
So yeah.
And then you were in the process, like you said, of trying to move to Georgia and move some
Yes.
things down here. And
So that's where you were saying the pivot. Like, so I'll go back. When I was when I was talking about coming into the Georgia area, I'd already kind of lived between the two places. But moving the business here full time, that was the part. And like I said, I was doing it, but I didn't have a particular plan. It was just kind of unfolding and just kind of happening. And that is where I you know, I believe the burnout happens for a lot of us. We move on things because we have the ideal, the vision, the processes, everything is in our head.
right.
And what creates that stress and overwhelm is because you can't see the whole picture from your head. You're
Right.
only getting short snippets of it. And then some of it we lose in the process of the day to day and the hustle and the bustle and the stress of it all, right? So trying to make that pivot without a plan
Right.
proved to be very challenging because I'm like, okay, so where do I start? Well, what do I do? Because now I'm trying to answer these questions in the middle of
Right.
the madness. And
Right.
I remember a long time ago, I heard a mentor of mine said to me, you don't prepare for war in times of war. You
Right.
prepare for war in times of peace.
Right.
So you don't wait until the trouble is on you to start trying to figure out what you're going to do. You got to
Right.
kind of have a plan in action beforehand. You got to anticipate.
Right.
So to me, the burnout comes because a lot of us don't have a, a plan in place. We don't have 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 a plan in Like even with a lot of people with the PPP money or the stimulus monies that you have,
right,
I remember when I was a small person, even just before that, I will always say, the name of my podcast is Shared Skin.
yes,
And one of the things we do in that is I I said that we share in each other's developments. So a lot of my business partners are my friends.
right,
So we are always talking and sharing because we all have skin in the game. So we share with each
yes,
other to constantly keep each other lifted up. And one of the things we talk about is that plan thing. We all hate doing it. We all don't like it.
right,
But I'm going to tell you, it really cost me time and energy because like a lot of them, when that stimulus money came and all of that money came, we all thought what we all needed in our business is more money.
right,
We always said, oh, we need more money. We need more
yes,
money. A lot of people got that money and they still didn't do a whole lot. Like their business hasn't grown a whole lot because it's not the money that makes the business grow. It's the processes and the systems that you have in place that make the business grow.
yeah,
So I know a few people that have gotten the PPP money and it's already gone and they haven't made a blip in their business.
right,
And part of it is because they never had a plan in place,
right,
right? So
right,
if you have a plan in place, and I'm guilty of this, like myself, and that's why that's one of my passions right now, and one of the areas that I work with businesses that are small,
mhm,
because we're not small businesses. Small businesses start with money, then they make a business plan to tell them how to spend the money to grow their business, right?
right,
Businesses that are small like us, we don't have no money.
right,
We just are very resourceful. We're
right,
building and growing our money as we go.
right,
So the thing that's our friend when you don't have a lot of money is time. The
right,
things the before time that helps you. So the things you do
right,
before you start spending money or before you jump out there helps you so much. And that is having, and I don't mean plan like some corporate, like major, like thing. A plan is just getting it out of your head,
right.
putting it onto paper.
Yes, yes, and I mean, and that's huge. The one thing that the key points that you were talking about is just like you said, you have to have a plan because what happens is, yeah, I think of people who win the lottery, and they've been playing, scratch offs and paying a little dollar and everything, and then all of a sudden when they get the money, they blow it because they really didn't plan for what they were going to do when they actually got the money, you know. But there had to be a process in place. There has to be something that happens. Okay, it's like when I get this, how do I invest it so that it continues to grow for me, especially for businesses that are small? And I like that you make the determination there. It's not a small business, it's a business that is small.
Right.
Because it's like you said, they don't necessarily have the finances to start things off. But now, people have had this unique opportunity to get these PPP loans and these other grants and things like that. And it's like, okay, what's your plan for when you get that, and how are you going to grow that? Because we know, like, again, that it's a process. You get that money, you use the money, say you get the money and you buy your spa supplies and things of that nature, and you go and get those things, and then you don't have any customers, or you haven't done the marketing piece, or you haven't
Yeah.
put set aside money for the marketing piece. So now you've got all this wonderful equipment and nobody to use it.
Nobody to use it.
And then what happens if and it may take a year or so. So
And that is
is that
exactly what
investment?
happened to me.
Yeah.
Because what I was doing when I was thinking about coming down here, I was like, okay, so because I did, that's how I started my first, opened my first spot. I did that. I bought all the stuff. I did all the stuff. I did it, and I was doing all of this. And when 2008 happened, the financial collapse happened, I had all of the stuff. I needed a space. So I was able to convert the house that I owned. I had owned a brownstone. I was able to convert that and turn it into my spa.
Right.
The difference was I was a part of that community.
Right.
I knew people, I had resources, I had networks in place. Um, I had resources that I could tap into.
Right.
So this time I did the exact same thing. I bought all this stuff. I put all this stuff. I tried to use that blueprint to move me into my space and place in Georgia. But then when I get to Georgia, Georgia's a different beast.
Yes.
It's a different animal.
Yes.
People communicate differently. Community is set up differently. Relationships are built differently.
Right.
And so now I got all of this stuff. And actually now got to do some real marketing work.
Right.
Can't go on my family name or my long-term connections or my laurels, like people know me as this person. Now I have to start completely from scratch and trying to do that without a plan of action.
Right.
You start throwing money. What they say is like you throw the spaghetti at the wall and see if
it sticks.
That's how you tell it is cooked.
Yes.
So a lot of the friends I know got that PPP money and start throwing money at the wall, seeing what was going to stick. And that's not how you do it. No. Especially in this day and age, you have so much more resources. Yes. You have analytics that didn't exist when we first started.
Exactly.
You have data, access to data that didn't exist when we got started. Okay. Like you have social media, like you can actually just go out there and be you and attract your audience. Right. You have an opportunity in so many different ways.
Right.
And so not having a plan in place was really challenging. And I'm going to tell you another thing too. When you're dream printing, and that's what I call it, when you're taking the ideal, a thought or a vision, and you're trying to take an ideal, something that's in your head, a thought, and turn it into a vision and turn it into a business. From an ideal to a business, there's a huge gap. And you're going to need some help and some guidance to get there. You know, it's lovely that we are smart enough and we are creative enough and we, determined enough to do it. But getting help to do it helps bridge the gap and it gets you there faster, right? Yeah. So that can be a part of your plan.
Absolutely.
Seeking out coaching, mentorship, right? Absolutely. Put that in your plan. Absolutely. To help you. So and a lot of times too, we'll say we need money and we'll start out to open up our business, but we're starting out on the third step and we miss the first and the second step.
Right.
And then we stumble up to the third step and we stumble up to the fourth step and we stumble up to the fifth step until we get to the sixth step and then we fall all the way back down. Right. Because we didn't have the foundation established for our business before we started climbing. So getting that vision printed, getting that ideal thought and stuff printed out and on paper, clear, get an idea of what you're trying to do. I know people say, well, I'm making money right now. I open my Etsy shop and I'm already making money. Yeah, you're making money now, but how do you continue to grow the money? There's so much money you could be leaving on the table by not having a well thought out plan,
Yeah, because just like you said, we hear about business plans all the time, and some people are like, okay, well, I have a plan, I have a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, but you also have to have thoughts about those incidentals, those things that happen, like a whole pandemic. I'm sure people had 3- and 5-year plans for what they were going to do, but they never, a pandemic was never incorporated in there.
Let me tell you something.
What do you do?
Let me tell you something. That's the reason why you're going to hear me say I call it the BTIS, business that is small. And then there is a SB, a small business. Right. We are not small businesses. When I started my spa back in the day, and when I was even just now, like I said, small businesses start with money. And they can say, I got $250,000, $500,000 to spend to build my systems, to build my processes, to put together a team so that, and then I have enough to help me get through the first 5 years. As a BTIS, a business that is small, I have about 5 months.
Right.
Okay, you don't have 5 years. You have about 5 months. The money you start spending, if you're not getting that money back like right away, you've got about 5 months before you're going to be struggling. Now you're asking auntie for money. Now you're asking your sister for money. Now you're trying to get a loan and go into the small business development, trying to sit in on those classes and figure out how you can get money. You cannot get money. Even if you go there, you're going to get more confused because they don't lend BTIS's money. They're going to ask you to have your own credit. They're going to ask you to take your own loan. They're going to ask you for collateral to collateralize your house to get a equity line of credit.
Right.
So for us, we don't have 3 or 5 years. We have to start figuring that stuff out or have that stuff thought out right now. So the mindset has to shift too when you talk about a small business. Now, you and I, sometimes you can start a business with $100. Like look at Apple computers. They started with $5,000. Look at Domino's Pizza. He started with $300.
Wow.
Why? How did they go from a BTIS to a billion-dollar brand?
Right.
Because eventually they put a plan together to wrap some processes and systems and to create a team around what they were doing. I don't necessarily need to be Domino's Pizza,
Right.
but I still need to know what it is I do so that I can do it well. I need to know what works for me so I can work that. I need to know about what systems I'm using. Am I going to use my Yeti mic to do my podcast?
Right.
Or am I going to network? Or am I going to use Instagram and things like that? How do I start to monetize this podcast or these different things? Like, you got to start looking at your business as a business, your small thing you're doing as a business, so that you can grow it, so it can start sustaining you and start being more than just a hobby. It could actually bring in some real money for you.
Right. And I think a big thing that you talk about that's important is that mentorship piece. Because that's going to help with the burnout and with the overwhelm, because there are so many things coming at you, so many questions to answer that you're going to put yourself in a place of overwhelm, because it's just too many things that I have to respond to at one time. And you don't want to do it, like you said, when you're in the midst of it. You want to kind of make sure that you're proactive and anticipating. That's something that you said. Anticipate should something happen, or if something, and that's something that happens can be positive or negative. Because sometimes it can be, okay, it's not always preparing for failure. If something fails, what happens if it succeeds?
Yes.
Do you have the systems in place to be able to meet that surge, that need? I didn't expect 1,000 people to call me the next day and say they wanted my business. So now, do I have people in place? Do I have systems in place to be able to take that on? So that's something that people have to think about too. Not just the negative aspect, but the positive things as well that can possibly happen. And am I prepared in both situations?
And most of the time, that's what happens. Most of the time, the good thing happens and we're not ready to facilitate it.
Right.
And then we get a little scared because it means we got to step out a little further.
Right.
And that friction will cause you to pull back.
Right.
And that's why I believe coaching and mentorship helps, because when you run up into that friction, you have somebody that can help you navigate through those little friction points without you may slow down, but you don't have to stop, right?
Right. And the one thing about, when I think about burnout as well, like I said, we talk about the overwhelm piece, but about the burnout as well, because when you're starting the business that is small, and you're talking about that, you have to think, is this something that I can see myself doing for the rest of my life? And if it is, then you shouldn't get to a point of burnout, especially in the first couple of years, because then you may have to question, well, is this really something that I want to do? Was it a hobby or something short-term, or something I just may want to do as a little side thing? Or is this something that I want to use as my main source of income, and I want to, put my all into this? It's not going to be a burnout situation if it's something that you enjoy, something that you love, that you can see yourself doing every day.
But you know what? That's interesting, because I say there's two kinds of businesses. There's four kinds of business people that get into BTIS, businesses that are small. Mission-driven people, passion-driven people, money-driven people, and people that just are really good at doing a lot of different things, so they're undecided about the kinds of things they want to do.
Right.
Right? And what you just said, people that have passion for what they do, when you're a business that is small and you're starting and you're building as you're going, you're already on a path to burnout. You're already like that. You're already on a path to burnout. So how do you not burn out? How do you not lose your passion? I talk to estheticians all the time, and they say, I don't want to do the business part. I just want to do the skincare part. I just like helping people. I like serving people. I love helping people feel beautiful, and I love giving facials. I don't want to do Instagram. I don't want to do social media. I don't want to write a plan. I don't really want to understand a website. I just want somebody else to do that part. I don't want to do it. You start out on a path to burnout because in order to continue to do what it is you're passionate about, you got to do some of the things you don't like.
Right.
So and that means we end up doing a lot of different things where we wear a lot of different hats. That's the easiest way to say it.
Right.
I remember I called my mom one time, and was about to open the business, right? I was about to open the spa. And the guy was supposed to come paint the weekend before because I didn't want the place smelling like paint. 2 weeks before, and I didn't want the place smelling like paint when we opened. He didn't come. So it took me a week to find somebody else. And then the guy came that weekend, and then he came, but he didn't know how to paint. He was like, this is my second job ever. Like, what? What are you talking about? Like, what? So now I'm a week before I needed to open my spa, and I'll go to my mother, and I said to my mom, I was crying. I was like, Mom, I don't know what to do. I got so much on the line. So many people have RSVP. So much is going on. He said, you wearing the wrong hat. I said, what you talking about? She said, you got the wrong hat on. I said, what are you talking about? She said, girl, take off the business hat and put on the painter's hat. Go out there and paint that place yourself.
Right.
I was like, oh, hey, I can do that.
Right.
So I went to Domino's Pizza. We bought a lot of pizza. We bought a whole lot of food, and I got my friends and family, and we went in there and we got that place painted. So sometimes in business, you just wear a lot of hats, but as a BTIS, we are already on a path to burnout. You just got to get support, get help. And most of us are solo owners in our businesses. It's just us.
Yeah.
We do everything. So I say seek help. Get somebody to help bridge the gap. You don't have to do all the thinking. Hire someone who's good at what that part is.
Right.
And do that. And even trying to figure that part out is challenging. Right. That's why I say get involved with a mentor or a coach. Right. That's not just anybody that calls themselves a coach. Right. Someone that has been boots on the ground in the area that you're working in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I'm in the spa industry. I have opened up a couple of small businesses that are small.
Yes.
And I understand products. I understand service. Right. I understand customer service. So that is the area that I bring to the clients that I work with.
Right.
I'm not an electrician.
Right.
So I don't tend to give advice to people that are outside of my scope, but I can direct them to where they need to go. And I can give them some foundational business stuff, but I try to stay in my lane. But so work with somebody who is really aware of what you're trying to do. And that's a great place to start.
Because I was going to say that is an excellent point. You know, you definitely want to have somebody who's in that field, but you also want to have somebody who knows, like you said, knows their limitations as well. That's an excellent coach. An excellent coach or a mentor is somebody who can definitely help and guide you in what it is that you're doing. But at the same time, if it's outside of their scope, they can say, you know what? This is not really my wheelhouse right here. This is not something that I'm an expert in. Let me send you to the next person, or let me, give you a reference to a person who has strength and has knowledge in this area. So that's a good person who knows where their lane is, stays in their lane, and can guide you to the next person if that's necessary. So, I mean, that's an excellent point that you make. And again, an excellent point that you make is you have to write it down, because if you need help, they can't read your mind. There are some people out there that are gifted and they can go ahead and read people's minds. Okay. But for the most part, we are not mind readers. And so if we put put pen to paper and write out things down, we can better articulate. Because now when you have to take it from your mind and you have to put it on that piece of paper, now you've got to be able to articulate it well enough to put it on that paper so that what's in your mind is what gets transposed onto that paper. Then when you bring people in, you can say, okay, this is what I need. Because you've written it down and it's not just floating around in your mind.
It starts becoming very real. When you write it, when you get it out of your head and you get it onto paper, what the resources that you need starts to illuminate.
Yes. Yes.
It starts to become very real. And it doesn't mean that you can't do it, or it doesn't mean that you shouldn't or should or whatever. It just means that you know what you're dealing with. Right? It knows what. And I say, honestly, at this point, when you're dream printing, when you're taking that ideal vision or thought from your mind and you're putting it into print, this is the place and this is the time that you will, my pastor always says, if you dreaming and it's not scary, it's too small, right? You got to dream big. You got to be big. You got to be bigger than you. And in my head, that's scary. But when I get it on paper, when I'm putting it on paper, I can be, my business can be everything that I want it to be on paper. And once it's out of your head and on paper big, you can then find where you need to start.
Right.
Because you don't have to start that big. You can start here and become that big.
That's right.
But sometimes when the ideal is in your head and you see the whole picture, you sometimes won't start.
Exactly. Analysis paralysis.
Analysis paralysis.
You get stuck. You get stuck. And then just like you said, that's where the overwhelm comes in. That's where the burnout.
That's where the burnout comes.
But what happens is, just like they tell you, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
You have to, and in order to see what those steps are, you got to write them out.
In order to see the elephant, you got to put it on paper. You got to see just how big it is. You might have thought it was super big here. When you put it on paper, you're like, this is doable. I can actually do this.
Right.
Right.
And then for those people who are like those type A people like myself, who checklist people, who are checklist people, that when you start checking those things off, it eases your mind because you're like, okay, that's one thing down. Now I can move on to the next thing. Okay, check, check. And then when you begin to see that, then they become wins. Everything is about.
And you know what? Dream printing is just that. If you put your dream down in a list, that's getting it out.
Right.
It's getting it out. If like, a lot of people do what they call vision boarding.
Yes.
I think vision boarding is fun and it's good, but it doesn't have a particular direction, and it doesn't have it doesn't always set an expectation or have a date of expectation. It doesn't hold you accountable to anything.
Right.
When you dream printing and you're getting it out, you can do it that way. So when I first did mine, I did it with crayons, markers, newspaper. I had a bunch of magazines that were of spas and different things like that. And I actually put it out on a big old board.
Right.
I dream printed right there. I cut out all the things that I wanted it to be about, what it looked like, and everything like that. That was my business plan.
Right. And see, vision boards, like you said, vision boards they're good for manifestation because yes, you're seeing the vision, but then again, like I said,
with action,
you got to write it. You gotta
have some action.
That's a part of it, but it's not the entire.
Yeah. I remember when I was working with my mentor, and I was saying to her, one of the things that's challenging me is I don't want to lose. I need my health insurance. I need health insurance. And she was like, well, why is this health insurance thing why do you feel like it's so unattainable, it's so unreachable? I said, it's so expensive. She said, well, if you got a whole closet full of pocketbooks and you got a whole closet full of clothes and you got a whole closet full of shoes and you have no health insurance, she said, it just might be a priority adjustment. She said, just maybe the $350 a month you need to pay for medical insurance, you might want to start looking at a plan to back out of certain other kinds of things
Right.
to find that $350 that you need for your health insurance. And if you do that, it starts becoming something you can attain.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be this overwhelming burnout as it relates to your business. Because
Right.
I didn't want to start the business because I was like, I ain't gonna have no health insurance if I just leave my job and start this business.
Right.
I need health insurance. She said, well, let's look at this to see how we can get you the
Right.
health insurance.
Right.
And she
Right.
did. And I was paying that $350 a month, which I thought was insane
Right.
because I was always getting it through my job. But now I was able to pay for it because doing a plan helped me figure out where I was, losing it.
Right.
You know,
You see, and that involves, like you said, that involves personal and professional. Because
yes,
as you're sitting there talking about you can, and I can't really afford this health insurance that you're
I
sitting there
couldn't get there
drinking
by
your
myself.
Starbucks latte and things like that. But it's those little things that if you stopped having those, and it's
And
those
you know what? It
little
wasn't that
adjustments.
it didn't have to have not have the latte. I just didn't have to have so many lattes.
Right.
I didn't have to not have a nice pocketbook. I
Right.
just didn't have to have a nice pocketbook 4 times a month.
Right.
Every
Right.
time I went shopping. Like
Right.
you can keep your gear up, you can keep your look hot and nice and drink your lattes, but it just doesn't have to be so excessive.
Exactly.
And it wasn't really those things really where we found it. It was in some of the other expenses that were being paid out, but I didn't even know that I was paying them.
Right.
Like
Right.
I had a storage that was way too big. I just
Mhm.
downsized my storage and so saved $100 right then and there. So there's ways to overcome overwhelm while you're in your business, while you're aspiring to be in business. Um, on all levels, burnout happens, I think, when we don't have a clear path. I heard someone say recently that fuzzy targets don't get hit. And
Mm.
I said, when she said it, she didn't really expand a lot, but I said, fuzzy targets creates uncertainty.
Yeah.
So if I'm planning to start a business or I'm planning to do something, or even just, want to buy a new car or something, like that can be a fuzzy target when you don't have a plan of how you're going to do it.
Right.
Fuzzy targets don't get hit. If you don't have a specific direction that you're going in
Right.
or thing you're shooting at, how you going to get it? How you going to hit it?
Right.
You
Right.
got to put some, in getting help to clarify those things makes it a lot easier. It doesn't have to burn you all the way down to the ground trying to get it out of your own head and figure it all out yourself.
Absolutely. Like you said, skin in the game.
Skin
And
in
I
the
love
game.
that. It's skin in the game, man. I love
We're
that you
here to
talk about.
share in each other's
That's
development.
right. That's right. So that takes us right back to your podcast and shared skin and being able to talk about those experiences, because these are things that we all are going through, and it's good to be able to have that mentorship. It's good to be able to have a resource or someone that you can tap into when it seems like things are getting out of balance, or you're unclear, or like you said, things are fuzzy. How do we go about clarifying those things? We can share in ways like this, in these types of platforms, in podcasts, in different meetups and groups and things like that, where other people are sharing these same experiences.
Absolutely.
So that is something that is awesome. Okay, but I know, like, hey, we can sit here and talk all
day
long, all day long. But like I said, we've at least touched on those things that can help people to eliminate some of that overwhelm and some of that burnout, and just know that that your business is a business that is small, but there are things that we can do to set the wheels in motion.
Absolutely.
To keep us in a place of success, and that we can ask for the help. That is the biggest thing. Ask for help. Even as a solopreneur, no one is trying to take your business from you. Because some people are fearful of that. They're, oh my goodness, if I tell too many people, they're gonna steal my idea, they're gonna take my business. No, those
they can't do it. Let me tell you why. Let me answer that real quick.
Yes.
Remember when I said an ideal, a vision, or a thought?
Right.
To take that from there to a business requires so much.
Right.
And I can hear what your dream is or your ideal is and go, ooh, that's amazing. That's
Uh-huh.
smart.
Uh-huh.
But it takes a lot to bring that into fruition,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then in 99.9% of the times, it doesn't happen.
Right.
It doesn't happen because it takes money and resources to do it. And why are you going to bring somebody else's dream or passion to market? It doesn't, it just doesn't work like that.
Right.
You got to share it. You got to get it out there. You got to put it in the world, and you got to trust, because you can hold on to it. And Denzel Washington or one of the actresses said, there in the graveyard is a bunch of dreams and ideals that
Right.
never
Right.
made it to life. I don't know who said. Did you say that to me?
No, it wasn't
No,
me.
somebody said that to me.
But yeah, there was a person who did mention that there are a lot of ideas that die with that person because
They
they
died
never
with the
shared it.
person.
They never shared it.
They never shared it.
Mhm.
Put your ideals in the world.
That's it.
You know, there's a lot of people out here that may be doing what you do.
Right.
And another thing too, when you try to bring an original ideal to market, it's expensive.
Yes.
For the BTIS, don't do it. When I first started my spot, I started my spot in an urban community who was not ready to hear about health and wellness. They
Wow.
did not understand massage and facials and spending that kind of money for that kind of service.
Right.
It took me a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of effort to sell that community on that. Oh my God, I think I spent my first 3 years just educating them on the benefits of why this is good for them.
Right.
So don't try to bring something original to market. Start with something that they recognize,
Right.
and bring it in on the back end.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. And that's what you tell you. And you hear about all the buzzwords that you hear now is niche. What is your niche? Who is your target audience? And that's important to know, because like I said, you can have a service, but your target audience may not be in the community that you're trying to put it in. And just like you said, you're going to wind up spending, you're going to be hard pressed to try to convince people, because they're going to be like, what the heck is that? I don't know anything about that. And you're going to spend so much time educating them that you're going to lose time and you're going to lose money just trying to get people to buy into that, when you could have targeted your audience and started getting those resources and getting those financial gains immediately, because you targeted the people who were going to pay for your services.
The purpose of business is to solve problems.
Yes.
So if you find a problem that people have and you can solve it, you can make money. Right. So the thing that you love, the passion that you have, the ideal that you have, whatever that is, find what problem that solves.
Right.
When you find the problem that it solves, you will identify the people that it solves.
Yes.
And there you have your market.
There you go.
So for me, I was in the health and wellness industry, and I did massage and I did skincare and I did all that stuff like that. Everybody has skin. Everybody has a back that gets sore. Everybody has a neck, but not everybody is going to be a candidate for what I did.
Exactly.
So when I understand the problem that I solved with my business, finding the clients and the people to come into my business was a whole lot easier.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. See what I'm saying? So like I said, everything is a process. It's a matter of writing it down. It's a matter of needs assessment. What is it that I need? Mm-hmm. And how can I go about getting those needs met? Just like I'm going to meet the needs of those clients. How am I going to go about getting the needs met to be able to launch my business and to launch it successfully? So Leslie, like I said, this has been awesome. We dropped some wonderful nuggets, and it's important that people, have a starting place, so that way they don't wait till they're in the vacuum or in the storm and then have to try to figure things out. We want to definitely be in a place of being proactive and as opposed to being reactive. So I want you to do two things for me. Tell people how they can get in contact with you and where they can find your podcast.
Okay, so you can. My podcast doesn't have a website home just yet. I'm still building it out, but you can reach me at dreamsgrow@ttuea.com.
TT.
Dreams grow at the @
Mm-hmm.
T is in Tom, T is in Tom, U is in umbrella, E is in egg, A is in apple. And it stands for TTU Aesthetics Academy.
Okay.
Okay.
.com, right? So
.com.
dreams grow at ttuea.com.
Yes.
Okay. And then the name
That's
of
my email.
that's your email.
And you can also reach me at the @ TT TTUEA. You can find me on social media at that address.
Awesome.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. And the name of your podcast is Shared Skin.
Shared Skin. You can find me on all podcast platforms.
Yes.
As Shared Skin. Yes.
Shared Skin. All right. So that way people know how to get in contact with you. I'll make sure that I put that in the description when your show airs. Okay. And so people will be able to reach you. And then another question that
I do have a coaching program that's affordable for the BTIS as well.
Nice.
So you can contact me and find that out.
Okay, very good. So they can either email you or go to your social media.
I help people dream print. Yes.
There you go. There you go. All right. So you'll have plenty of ways to get in contact with Leslie. And then also, Leslie, as I do with all of my guests, tell people what you are doing to navigate in this space. How are you creating your peaceful existence?
I surround myself with people that lift me up. I don't surround myself with people that just tell me what I want to hear. I surround myself with people that help me to see, hear, understand my truth, right? I need to hear when I'm not doing something right, and I need to hear when I'm not doing something wrong. So I try to surround myself around people that lift me up and that I can share and serve and give back, and that they want that back from me too. So I call that shared development. And we do that with conversation. We just do that talking and sharing and just communicating.
I love that. And that's something that's beautiful. That's what we need. We need to be encouraged. We need to feel valued. We need to feel loved and appreciated. And, and that comes just like you said, with your truth. And I love that. It's not, it's your truth, but you have people who are supporting you in that truth in every facet. So that's something new. All right, y'all. Y'all heard it here. Y'all heard it here. But Leslie, thank you so much for coming and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. And as I tell all of my guests who come in, this is not the last time that you'll be here. We'll see you again because there's always something happening in the now. And right now this is what's going on, but that's not what's going to be happening a week, a month, a day, or an hour from now. So you're always welcome to come back and share more of your wisdom and share more about your shared skin and things that are going on. I wish you the best in your podcast and all that you do moving forward. And do you have any final words for our listeners before we go?
Don't give up. Never quit. Don't stop. Keep trying. Don't give up. If it's in your heart to do it.
That's it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
One step at a time.
That's it. That's all we can do. Just do it. All right, honey. And that will do it. You're welcome, honey. And that will do it for this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. And until we see you the next time, I say peace.
Peace.